All right. No, I'm actually using VS Code for it, but that's what I'm going to use. I don't have any hard requirements here, guys. We need a code editor. It could be Notepad. I don't care. You guys are going to need Git and a GitHub account. If you guys don't have one, you should have time to set one up. Shouldn't be too hard. And we're going to do some stuff. So here's the background, right? Here's the scenario. We're running a voting survey site, right? And there's the link for it. I'll bring it up.
You need to create one of those short.
Yeah, I should have done a Bitly one. I got a real job too, guys. But no, you're right. Good idea. I will do that for the next time I give this session, which will be this will probably be the last time. So I'll keep track of it. But our bosses have come down and they said, hey, the team has been asked to implement a new survey, and that we're going to vote for our favorite superheroes. So we're going to have to create the vote. Actually, we'll look at this in a second. So that's our ask from the business. We got to create a new vote or survey for voting for your superhero. But unfortunately, the developer dude who started the work is out sick, and we have to pick up where he left off because we actually have to do this before noon. And it's got to be out in production before noon. It's 11:05 right now. You guys up for the challenge? Okay. So the goals. We're going to add a button with your favorite superhero as the candidate so people can vote for your superhero, and expect you guys to vote for your super. Anybody who doesn't like superheroes in here? Good, I was going to ask you guys to leave. I'm just kidding. We're going to merge all of the buttons because I think I saw at least 5 or 6 hands up, so that's at least 6 buttons that we're going to merge together, and we're going to deal with the forking bit from GitHub, or from Git. We're going to build it, we're going to deploy it, and we're going to use it. Now, if you guys saw, we already have a build set up and we already have a deploy, so we're actually just going to skip to use it. That's going to be kind of nice. So to do this, step 1, clone my repo. Go log into GitHub. So we're going to go to GitHub, and you guys are going to go to that URL, github.com/Alonso Robles with an S, Azure Bootcamp 2016. And I actually wrote clone, so fork my repo. So there should be, here, I'll walk you guys through this. So we're at GitHub. If you guys go to, I'm assuming you guys are logged in at this point. Right here, up on the screen, there's a fork button. Once you log in and you go to this URL, you are going to click that fork button. Yeah, if you already forked it, what you're actually doing is you're creating a copy of my GitHub repository in your GitHub account. So it's still in the cloud. GitHub's hosting it. They just made a copy of it. All right. So if you guys, after you click the fork button, you should actually now see up here whatever your account is /Azure Bootcamp 2016. Everybody there? Okay. What we're going to do next is click this clone or download button, or use your GitHub for Windows client, which should do that for you. You're going to clone it. Okay, so now you've taken, kind of retracing our steps. We started at my repository, my GitHub repository. You guys forked it, which created that same repository in your GitHub account. You guys cloned it, which created a copy of your repository on your computer. All right, so the next step here, and I'll bring these guys, wait for these guys for a second. So next step here, we got to make 2 choices. This is a personal choice. I'm not telling you what to do. You guys got to use your noodles for a little bit. But you need to pick a button style. And if you really want to click that link and look at it, but your choices are primary, success, warning, info, and I'll show you what those look like in code here in a minute. But it's basically what color do you want your button to be? And I'm using default Bootstrap styles. Don't worry about it if you don't know what it is, but if you go to that URL, you'll actually see a list of options. And the other thing that you got to pick is your superhero. So in your mind, figure out who your favorite superhero is. Going on to the next step. So we're actually going to write a line of code. Open up the index HTML file in the client directory under the source directory. And again, you can do this with Notepad. You can do this with Visual Studio Code. You can do this with Visual Studio, maybe. It should work. You can do this with Sublime. You can do this with, I think Atom was another text editor that people are using. You can do this with VI. Doesn't matter, just any text editor. And you should see a file that looks something like something that I haven't opened. Okay, so under the source directory, under client, there's an index.html file. And this is going to be small and it's going to be black, and I don't know that I can change the color, and very, very hard to see. But if you scroll down to around, all right, so if you scroll down to around line 79, there's a line in there that says, and actually you can do a Control F and look for coming space soon, C-O-M-I-N-G. All right, so line 79, coming soon to a boot camp near you. You guys find that line yet?
Yep.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to replace that line with this code here. It's about 4 lines on here. Hopefully it's big enough for everybody to read. But we're going to do a paragraph, then an anchor link. We're going to give it a class, and this is where I wanted you guys to pick your button style. You guys can leave this out. It's not required. If you didn't pick a style, don't know what to do with the Bootstrap stuff, just leave it out. It's not a big deal. In the Visual Studio Code, and that line that says coming soon, we're actually going to replace it. Now again, it's not the line. So when I said button style, the only thing I want you to replace is this little part in here where it says your button style. Make sure you keep the rest of it.
Correct.
Then you're going to fill the rest of this out, and down here there's going to be a data attribute called data-candidate. And I've got in there in curly braces your hero. I want you to replace that with your hero. Don't tell me who it is. I'll find out in just a minute. It'll be a surprise. And it could be your dad, if you're a hero. So for some people, dads are superheroes, and so are their moms and sisters and brothers and my dog. It doesn't matter, but let's pick a superhero. And then the text for that link, vote for, and again, I have your hero in curly braces. Replace that with the name of your hero. All right, the next step, if you're already there, it's going to be to commit your changes and push it. If you're familiar with Git, go ahead and do that. It's not that you're adding a file, you're adding changes to push. It's kind of interesting when you get into the details of Git. Yes. So what Git actually does is it doesn't track files, it tracks edits. And so it'll actually, instead of creating a new copy of that file in the history, what it'll actually do is basically say, on this line, I deleted this line and I added this line. And so it tracks the incremental differences between each one. So by saying add dot, you're saying add all the changes to all the files that are in this repository and queue it up for a commit, is what you're saying. All right, so this is the next step. Commit, push, and pull request. So use your client to commit your changes. If you're using the command line, you got to make sure you add your change set before you commit. You're going to commit and put a little message in there. Please say something funny. You can say Alonso was here, Grant was here, Atesh was here. My superhero is better than Atesh's. I hope he doesn't punch me in the nose after this meeting. That's fine. Yep. Hold on, let me pick one. Parking lot's right over there. After you're done committing your change, you're going to push it to your GitHub, and then you're going to go back to your GitHub client via your web browser, and you're going to create a pull request on that change set.
Via the web browser?
Via the web browser.
To GitHub. Okay.
To GitHub. So what just happened, right? We made our changes. That small little change. We committed it. That commit basically added that change set to our local copy of the repository on our laptops. A push, send that change to your repository on GitHub. I hope you did, because that's what we need to do right now. So right now is what we need to do is we need to commit your changes. So go to your Git for Windows client, go ahead and hit commit, and then go ahead and hit push.
Where's push? If it was all still within our fork.
Yep. The pull, because at this time you're working on your GitHub repository. Now you guys are going to want me to pull your guys' changes so that we can get it in the build. Okay, so let me bring up GitHub. I'm assuming everybody's committed and pushed to your repository. So now I have to go and pull your changes into mine. And so the way that you're actually going to do that is from your repository at the very top, right above where you guys see this, I'm going to highlight the area where I'm at. But right around this where I have my last change, right above it there should be a little link that says pull request. All right, so everybody's got a pull request out to me? I hope so. I should see about 4 or 5 of them. So I'm going to refresh my page. I see 4 pull requests. And then you can do this in Visual Studio Team Services in the code management section. It's very much the same. I would see 4 pull requests there. All right, so here's Grant's Delta. And again, I'm going to look at this guy here. And he's asking, is that good enough? So I can come down here and I can see his conflict has, there's no conflicts in this branch, so I can do this automatically and merge it. I can look at his commits, and this is how we could do a code review. And here are the changes. And Grant says, hello from Austin. I can give him a little comment. Not what I asked for, but it will work. So I sent him a comment. So I'm going to go back to my pull request.
So pull request means we are sending a request to you
Yep.
to pull our.
Exactly. And this could have been, and again, if you're not using any of these clients, you could have sent me an email and said, Alonso, here is my repository. Go pull my changes, right? And what would happen manually on there is I would clone your repository, or I'd clone your branch to a local copy of it. I'd look at it. I'd do a local merge. I'd check for conflicts. I'd send you back, like I just gave him that comment right now. I could actually send him an email and saying, that's not what I asked for, but thanks anyway. Right? Same type of effect, we're just doing it via a different UI here. And I'm gonna go ahead and approve and merge this pull request. Confirm merge. There we go, 1 pull request done. So I see, I have a conflicting file because he made some changes that I pulled in, and so the repositories have diverged. So this is where I told you guys the forking repository is kind of crazy. Once I commit your changes and all these come in, if you guys want to stay in sync with me, you guys are going to now have to pull, and the easiest way to do this, if you really don't want to, delete your repository and fork a new one. I mean, that's the cheesy way of doing that, so you don't have to keep them all up to date. But you would actually do it from your command line. You would actually set up an upstream repository, which is mine, and you'd say pull the changes from there, merge them locally, push them into mine. It's like 3 or 4 steps, and it's very doable. I don't know if you guys saw that comic book that I had in there, or a comic that I had about branching and the policies. If you actually read it, that's what it's talking about. It's like, but I don't know how to sync everything back up. Don't worry, just delete your repository and start over. Somebody else has got it. That's fine. That's kind of one of the powers behind the forking environment. But let's take a look here. I can look at, so the nice thing is this will give you the command line instructions on what to do. So I'm going to my source control, bring up my terminal, and before I do this, let me pull the latest. All right.
So you pulled it into GitHub, and now you pulled it into locally.
Yeah, I'm pulling it into locally. So what I actually did is I checked out, how do you say your name? Hamdi? Okay. I pulled his branch locally, directly from his. Pulling it down. It says, hey, there's a merge conflict. Okay, so now I'm going to resolve the merge conflict. So if I do a git status, I actually see like, hey, both of these files have been modified. That's my status. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here into my Visual Studio code. I actually will see the changes, and we'll say this is where the conflict is. So I'll just remove this line. It's basically saying what do I want this file to look like when I'm done. I'm going to do this. And those were the changes. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. So basically I'm accepting both changes is what I'm doing. I'm going to go locally to mine, and I'm going to say resolved merge conflict. And I should, at this point, be able to do a git. I'm going to double check my command lines. Yep, should be a git. Yeah, not put push. Git push origin develop. If I did that right.
Weren't those files sitting on GitHub?
Yeah, they were. I pulled them locally.
Oh, you did do that?
Yeah. So step 1, from your project repository, check out the branch and test the change. From step 2, merge the changes and update on GitHub. So it walks you through it right here. And in fact, if I refresh this page right now, it'll actually say, it should have said something different. Yeah. What did I do? Let me look at my uncommitted changes. No, that's changed, but what happened to it?
Why did you look here?
Oh, I think I,
You need to commit maybe on the right?
no, I know what I did. I know what I did. Yep. I'm actually about to do that right now just because I'm going to resolve the merge conflicts while everybody goes on break. So let me finish this one merge conflict and we'll go on break. Yeah, I know what I did wrong. So what I ended up doing, I'm going to do this. So I actually created a branch for Hamdit. So let me just go over here. Okay. So the first step I actually did is actually created a new development branch. So it wasn't my development branch. I named it something else so I knew where it was coming from. And I merged it and resolved it. But what I needed to do was remerge that back onto the main development branch before I pushed it. So again, that was an extra step. Cool, so that worked. If I should come back here and I refresh this page, we should now see that this is merged. We're done.
What was the conflict in the first place?
You changed the same line that he changed. And so the way that Git works is it handles the deltas between files. So it didn't create a new file and it wasn't like it was trying to bring two files together. It said, here is new line 80. Then it saw his new line 80. Git looked at him, kind of did, not sure what to do here. I need human interaction. Git is actually pretty good at merging a lot of things together, but in this particular case, it kind of looked at it and said, I don't know what the right thing is. So it said, before we go any further, a human needs to look at this to make sure that I don't screw this up. And so I went in, and if you saw in Visual Studio, it had a couple of alligator signs and equal signs separating, saying here's what was in one file, here's what was in the other. And I don't know how to bring these two together. So I looked at them and basically said, here's what I want you to do, and created a new file out of what the two should look like, committed it, and pushed it. So this is going to be one of those areas where I'm going to rely on my architects like Javier over here, say design this in such a way that I can segregate teams in different areas so that we reduce the likelihood of having this huge deal. When you guys come back from the break, I'm going to show you a funny GIF that actually shows what a merge looks like in real life in a battlefield. You guys are going to laugh. But what I'm going to do now is, this is a really good stopping point for us to take a break. So I'm going to let everybody here take a quick, what do we schedule for a break, 10 or 15 minutes? Okay, take a 15-minute break, go to the restroom, get some water, refresh your coffee. I'm going to finish the rest of the merge conflicts, and we're going to look at this afterwards to wrap it up.